Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of the Real Housewives of New Jersey Season 8, Episode 16, Reunion Secrets Revealed. Ooh, let's get started. This episode starts off at the Gorgas House and the kids are all dyeing Easter eggs. Teresa comes over with her girls and I'm with Melissa. I feel like those kids were out of hand. And sticking their hands in the dye and, oh God. You know what? I would have colored his face with it. That would teach him a lesson. I wouldn't have, but wouldn't that have been funny? Next, we are at Ziggys house and she's planning a surprise party for her father's 80th birthday. This scene actually gives us a little insight into Ziggy's relationship with special cakes. She has had a cake made to look like 5 out of the 8 books that her father has written. It looks pretty cool. So I'm thinking, okay, so maybe she just has a real thing about cakes. The rest of it was just Ziggy being obnoxious, over the top, ridiculous, embarrassing her son, and that's about it. Next, we see that Margaret and Danielle have taken Teresa to go have dance lessons. If you're trying to make somebody feel good or give them something to do while their husband's in prison for 4 years, why take them dancing and you guys are bringing your partners? Why not just make it a girls' night? Ziggy, Dolores, and Melissa are out to dinner and they're talking about Dolores's relationship with her boyfriend and they're giving her advice and stuff. And, you know, I'm seeing a real pattern here with these scenes in this Hidden Gems episode. 2 things are occurring to me. One is that I can kind of see why these scenes didn't make it to the real show. They're kind of boring. But something else very interesting is occurring to me with all these scenes that didn't make it. A lot of them are showing the women being nice to each other and having fun. I get that that doesn't sell quite as much as a good old-fashioned knockdown, drag-out fight, but this is what bothers me. This is a reality show. So for me anyway, I would like to see a little bit more balance. For sure. Show me the crazy scenes. I gotta have it. But if you don't balance it out with the scenes where the women are being kind to each other, it feels very manipulative then. I don't love the way it's decided in the editing. Who's going to be the villain? Who's going to be the victim? Who are we going to garner sympathy for? Rather than show us the complexities of all of these women, that there's good and bad in everybody, because there is, we've got people like Ziggy, who I think is just crazy and insane. Or for those of you who watch Beverly Hills, Dorit. This season, I can't stand her. Or Lydia and Peggy in Orange County. Couldn't stand them. But if we were allowed to see a nice balance for everybody, let us decide who we like and don't like. And maybe that would change week to week. And that's okay too, because they are really people, and that would be a reality show. And I don't necessarily think it wouldn't be as popular. I disagree that the viewers need to have somebody to rally around or need to have somebody to vilify. Okay, rant over and back to the show. We see a little montage of Ziggy and Dolores and how they have each other's backs no matter what. Andy has a viewer's question for Dolores, who asks her to just say something about Ziggy that you don't agree with. Dolores struggles, and then Teresa helps her out with, what about social media? And Dolores said, oh yeah, I hate the way she is on social media. And I've told her that. She needs to knock it off. And then Melissa, of all people, Melissa gives Ziggy this advice that I think is spot on. She says that season 3, she was made out to be the villain and she got horrible trolls following her on social media. And she said, you cannot answer people. You just can't get into it. You have to ignore it. And instead, prove to them that you are not the person they think you are. I thought that was excellent advice. And I'm sorry to say I could not believe it came out of Melissa. Next, we get to see that Ziggy had a photo shoot for her 50th birthday. And she's taking pictures of herself dressed like Liberace with wings. And she has invited Margaret because their birthdays are only a month apart and they're both turning 50. Only it wasn't inviting Margaret to be part of the photo shoot. It was just to come and watch her get her pictures taken. I don't know. I wasn't quite sure. I mean, Margaret did end up stepping in at the end, but it wasn't like Margaret had a costume to put on. You can kind of tell why some of these scenes got cut. It was cute because they were having fun together, and I'm wondering, when was that filmed? I can't remember the last time Ziggy didn't have an issue with Margaret. We also finally get to see the scene where Danielle and Marty christen the bathroom at Gorgas. Well, we don't actually see it, thankfully. But the ladies are all talking about it, and Danielle could not be prouder of herself. Yeah, I did. That's how I keep my man happy. Okay. Dolores, of course, was disgusted. It's a family party. Is that necessary? Oh, I wish I could do Dolores's voice because it's so funny. She elongates the words at the end of a sentence. It's none of your business. How about that? It's a family party. Is that necessary? Oh, I can't do it. Next, we see Joe Gorga and Frank Sr. having a drink together, and Frank Sr. basically admits that he is still in love with Dolores. How did that not make it onto the regular show during the season? Think of all the ridiculously pointless, stupid scenes that we did see, and Frank confiding in Joe Gorga that he is still in love with Dolores doesn't make it? Come on, Bravo. I'm not saying it wasn't sort of obvious, but he actually says it. I think that would have been pretty significant. Also, there's a scene with Teresa and her family when they are in Puerto Rico, and she's having a talk with Gia, and I loved this scene. This is what I'm talking about. Bravo, show us some of this stuff. She's kind of having this heart-to-heart with Gia, and I love Gia. I think she's super mature for her age, and she's a pretty cool kid. They were talking, both of them, talking about how the silver lining to Joe going away is that the family might have needed a break. And Joe probably needed to clean up a little bit. And that's kind of what Gia was saying when she said it's time for Dad to go. Because they flash back to that scene that almost made Gia seem bratty or something. But she kind of explains, while Teresa was gone, he was sad and probably drinking too much. I just felt like the two of them were being so real about it. And this is just me, but I'm more fascinated by that kind of thing. By being like a fly on the wall when somebody's having like a genuine conversation. I like that. And yeah, balance it out with, thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. Go ahead and balance it out with the crazy, because that's a lot of fun. If anything, Bravo, you just showed us all the good stuff that you're cutting out. And so now we all know how much we're being manipulated. Next, we see this scene with Dolores and her mother when she's trying to talk her into a colonic. Now I know why I didn't remember it at all. It got cut. It probably still should have been cut. It was fine. It was just Dolores trying to get her mom to be healthier, and then also I think trying to shock her. I could have done without it. The next scene we see is Joe and Melissa interviewing hostesses. No. I don't think there's one single part of this whole scene that was genuine. It was all for show, and it didn't work. And that's why it got cut originally. They set it up, and I don't think that Joe and Melissa could pull it off. And that's probably why it got cut in the first place. These three gorgeous girls come in one at a time, sit down. Joe looks all lecherous at them. And Melissa asks if they have hostessing experience. Of course they don't. Why would they? And Joe hires one on the spot. I don't believe it for a second. The scene was contrived. It was completely fake, and they should have left it on the cutting room floor. Finally, we get to the proposal. Andy asks Danielle about her big news, and she said, yes, I got engaged. And then we get to see at least part of the scene. I don't know where they are, some big house somewhere. I think Danielle thinks they're going to tour there. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't catch that. but she's with Margaret and Teresa, and they're all walking up, and it's in this like big garden, and then this beautiful music starts playing and beautiful dancers are dancing, and you can see on Danielle's face, she's like, oh, like she wasn't expecting any of that, and she's just looking and watching, and it's the most genuine I've seen Danielle look too. Like she was really surprised, and then she sees Marty. And Marty walks up, and it's so sweet and adorable. Although I think she swears at him. Guess it wouldn't be Danielle, right? So he proposes, she says yes, and it was like kind of nice. We cut back to a scene that we didn't see of the reunion where Andy is asking her more about the wedding. So Danielle has asked Teresa to be a maid of honor along with her 2 daughters. And she has asked Melissa and Margaret to be bridesmaids along with 12 others. Yes, for those of you playing at home, that's 3 maid of honors and 14 bridesmaids. And her 20th engagement. Yeah. Our Secrets Revealed episode ends with Margaret, Teresa, Danielle, and Melissa sitting, having breakfast somewhere. I don't know. They're sitting outside. And the topic turns to, where is the craziest place that you've ever had sex? I don't know. It's just stupid. Danielle confides that she really loves to do it in public. Shocking. Never would have guessed that. And that's how we're going to end the entire season? Oh well. That's it for this episode, and that is it for season 8 of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. Thank you guys so much for joining me, especially those of you who stuck with me for the entire season, right up to the bitter end. I really appreciate you guys very much. I hope you know that. Please subscribe to Jill Informed if you haven't already. Please give this episode a thumbs up if you liked it. I'll see you next time. Thank you again. Bye-bye.